And welcome to Hannity. And tonight we are just 1 week away from the Wisconsin primaries, and the Republican race to win that very important state is now heating up. Now the candidates are pounding the campaign trail, and earlier tonight the GOP frontrunner Donald Trump held a rally in Wisconsin. Let's take a look.
I'll tell you something so important. There is something happening. It's like a movement. It's incredible. It's a movement, and we're part of the movement. It's not me. I'm a messenger, to be honest. I'm a messenger. And this is something that's so special and so amazing. And it's on the cover of Time magazine. It's on the cover of every newspaper. It's something that has maybe never happened, and they're saying it's a phenomena. Sometimes they say I'm a phenomena. I'm not. The message is what we want.
And here now with reaction, 2016 Republican presidential frontrunner candidate Donald Trump. Mr. Trump, welcome back. Good to see you.
Hello, Sean.
First, congratulations are in order. I understand now you're a grandfather for what, the 8th time?
That's right, number 8. And Ivanka had a beautiful baby, and we're very happy about it. I guess that's probably why I'm doing all of this. It's Make America Great Again. I'm making it great for my grandchildren, because ultimately that's what it's all about. That's what we all live for, I think, in a certain way.
You know, isn't it sad that we're burdening our future generations with debt? I mean, isn't it sad that, you know, they've got to deal with a world of evil and ISIS? We don't control our borders. You know, you worry about whether this generation will be the first generation to hand off a country in worse shape than they received it. It's kind of, does that make you reminisce about that or introspective about it?
Well, it won't be sad if I'm elected president, because I'll knock out ISIS and I'll make borders very strong, and people aren't coming into this country except legally, and so it won't be sad. You'll be very happy in 2 years if I get elected president. Believe me, if I'm in office in January, you're going to see some very big changes, and very much for the positive. And that includes trade, that includes jobs, it includes getting rid of the debt and at least getting it down very substantially, fairly quickly. And a lot of things. We're going to do a lot of things that are great, but I have to get there first, and Wisconsin is very important. We're doing really well here, but it's really important.
Let me go to something I think has been talked about too much, my opinion, but it is what it is. Of course, the super PAC runs the ad against your wife, Melania. You send out a tweet. And I've watched every interview since, and that's all the media wants to talk about. Do you have any regrets in regard to this? How do you feel about how it's all been handled?
No, I don't. Look, Cruz is, you know, I call him Lion Ted Cruz after what he did to Ben Carson and many other things. He lies. He really lies. I've never seen anything quite like it. I've dealt with much tougher people, but never somebody that can lie like that. And he did a terrible thing with Ben. Then what he did is my wife had a, very good photo shoot for GQ. It's called GQ. And it's a top magazine, and she had the photo shoot, and they sent it out to people in Utah, which was starting it, and he knew about it. He said he didn't know anything about it. He knew about it. These people on the PAC, they were all friends of his, or many of them were friends of his, so he knew all about it. So he started it. But as far as I'm concerned, it's over. I want to get to jobs. I want to get to trade. I want to get to build up the military. I want to get to so much our veterans. We have to take care of our veterans. You know, I look at what's happening in Wisconsin with the numbers, the job numbers, the trade numbers, how it's a stagnant economy, how they owe $2.2 billion in terms of their budget. It's a disaster. I'm looking at the kind of numbers here. And I know Walker endorsed today Cruz, because he couldn't endorse me because I knocked him out of the presidential race. How is he going to endorse me? And all I did was repeat the numbers in Wisconsin. They're terrible. And, you know, it's one of those things. So he endorsed him. Let's see what it means.
All right. Let me ask one other question that made a lot of news today. And in full disclosure, I'm friendly with both parties here. I know your campaign manager, Corey Lewandowski, very well. I know Michelle Field. She's been a guest on this program a lot over the years. And I got to be honest, I looked at this tape at least 100 times today to try and see, and I have her original statement here, that she was, quote, jolted backwards and somebody grabbed me tightly by the arm, yanked me down. I almost fell to the ground. Now, I'm showing the tape. I don't see that. I've looked at it 100 times. You have stood
well, you
by.
Have to look at, you have to look at her. Yeah, you have to look at her, and you have to see what it's all about. Look, I have to stand by him. I looked at the tape. You know, it's my tape. I have a very great club that has cameras all over it for security reasons, and this is my tape. And as far as I'm concerned, you know, I'm very glad that we were able to produce the tape, because I don't see anything. I see virtually nothing. And we're going to destroy a man's life over this. You know, they're chopping off heads. They're drowning people in the Middle East. We're going to destroy a man's life. He's got 4 beautiful children and a wife in New Hampshire, and we're going to destroy his life because somebody makes a charge. And by the way, did you notice how that charge changed after she found out that Donald Trump produced the tape? If I didn't produce the tape, it would have been much worse, because look at the statement she made. She was dragged down. I had it written down. Forcefully throw reporters to the ground. I mean, campaign managers aren't supposed to forcefully throw reporters to the ground. What ground? In fact, if you look at her face, her expression doesn't even change. And I don't know, she said she's got a little bruise. Who gave her the bruise? I mean, you know, how was the bruise then? People
If the tape was what she said,
stuff.
if you saw on the tape something different, would you have fired Corey?
Oh, if he threw it to the ground, I would have fired him immediately, absolutely. If she was thrown to the ground. But, I mean, look what she said. I was jolted backwards. Someone grabbed me tightly by the arm and yanked me down. Campaign managers aren't supposed to forcefully throw reporters to the ground. Now, look, I would tell Corey, you know, it's very easy for me to do that. That's actually the easiest thing. But I can't destroy a man's life with somebody that does the story. Now, her story changed once she found out that there was a tape. All of a sudden, it's, uh-oh, this is a problem, because now there's a tape.
Yeah.
And then, you know, people don't talk about the tape. On other shows on Fox, they don't talk about her initial statement. But her initial statement was exactly what you and I both said. And that's a big difference between that and what happened. I think it's a disgrace. And I'm not going to destroy a man's life. And maybe it's politically better for me to do it. I don't know. But I can't destroy. That's what we need running the country. We can't have weak, ineffective people like these politicians, guys like Cruz and Kasich. We can't have people like this running the country anymore. Our country's in such trouble with trade deals and debt. And we are in trouble. And this is, I guarantee you, Cruz, well, he already fired a couple of people for doing things. And, you know, just one of those things. When he hired the porn star to do his tape, now he said he didn't know she was a porn star. Who knows if he knew she was a porn star or not. But he's already fired, I guess, his campaign manager or something pretty close to that. And, you know, look, I have to stick up for people. I think this was very unjust. Nobody called me. Nobody interviewed me. I wasn't interviewed by the police. I don't know, is this police, I mean, they're in a town where I have a very big investment. I'm trying to figure, are these Democrats, are these Republicans? Why would a man be destroyed over a tape like that? You see what happened, and it was,
I looked at it.
What happened?
I looked at it 100 times, and I know, as I said, I know both people. To me, it looked like the typical gaggle of reporters, you know, where the campaign is trying to get the candidate away because they've answered enough questions, and everybody's moving on, and she's trying to get in that last question. That's how I see it. I don't see any jerking. I don't see any pulling. I see him saying,
well,
all right,
first of all, Sean, let me just interrupt you. Let me just interrupt you just for a second. She grabbed me before he grabbed her, if he even grabbed her, because I don't see that he grabbed her.
Yeah, she's right next to you, very close.
You know, I see that he sort of blocked her out, but she grabbed me, and she wasn't supposed to. She grabbed me once or twice, and that's why I'm looking down at my arm. I'm like this, looking down, and it's very obvious. So she grabbed me before he did anything. She went through a Secret Service line because you had Secret Service people. Yeah. This was after a victory. The press conference lasted for like 45 minutes. It was a long press conference. There were no more questions. I was walking out. I was almost at the entrance when this happened because that was the entrance camera. I was almost at the entrance in the lobby, walking out briskly, and she all of a sudden jumps in. So she grabbed me, and she had something in her hand. I don't know what it was. It looked like it could have been a pen, but, you know, from the standpoint of where we are, who knows what it is. So she grabbed me, and then he maybe brushed her aside, and we're going to destroy his life for that? I don't think so.
Let me go back to the earlier question when I talked about, I think in a lot of ways, this is for both campaigns, we got off track, the ads that went out. You're saying you're done with that. There's no more coming up. Now, you're in Wisconsin. You pointed out that Scott Walker endorsed your opponent, Ted Cruz. What is it specifically, the message you're bringing to the people of Wisconsin, and knowing that the media, this is all they want to talk about?
Look, Wisconsin's doing very poorly. Wisconsin is losing jobs. They aren't growing. I have a whole list of things. I could read 15 things to you. I had no idea it was doing that way. And you also know for a fact, I have many friends that live in Wisconsin. I mean, it's a great place. But Wisconsin is not doing well. And I'd see this governor get on a motorcycle all the time with his big motorcycle, you know, big tough guy, and he'd get on his motorcycle. You know who's endorsing me more than anybody are the motorcycle people. These guys are, every time I make a speech, I have motorcycles outside, but I mean big, like 600, 700, 800 sometimes where they're outside. But I'd see him in his motorcycle jacket, you know, like he's a tough guy riding on the highways. Look, he endorsed a guy who has no chance of beating Hillary Clinton. I'm going to beat Hillary Clinton. I haven't even focused on her. I only focused on her once, about 2 months ago, and believe me, that was the last time I got hit with that subject. And I helped Bernie Sanders because her numbers went way down after I went after her. I haven't gone after her. I have 2 more people that I have to beat. We started off with 17 or 18 people. We're down to 2 left over, and I will see what happens. Let's see. I mean, I think I'm going to win. I think I'm going to do well in Wisconsin.
Let me ask about the scenario. I mean, you have John Boehner and obviously Mitt Romney and other establishment people. They all, and John Kasich. Kasich has no mathematical chance to get 1237. You do. You have to get about 53%. Ted Cruz has to get about 83%. So he has no chance, but they're stating publicly the idea is to prevent either of you from getting that number. Stop Trump. Then, of course, Kasich approaches Cruz. They want a partnership, obviously, to be against you. If these types of games are played, what is going to be your response?
Well, first of all, Cruz is never going to beat Hillary Clinton. I'm going to beat her, and polls are showing it, but I'm going to beat Hillary Clinton. And I think I'm going to do it easily because we have millions of people coming into the party and coming in and voting in the primaries, millions more than we had, Sean. It's the biggest story in all of politics, millions more than we had 4 years ago. And it's a great movement that's going on. It's an amazing thing, and it's a beautiful thing to watch. And I'll tell you, you're going to have a lot of very disappointed and, frankly, very angry people if they try and stop. You know, I'm way ahead in delegates. I'm millions of votes ahead of Cruz and millions ahead of Kasich. But I'll tell you what, it's a little bit unfair because when I started, we had 17 people. So we had a lot of people sitting out. Some would get 1%, 2%, 5%, 10%. So when I have to get 50% in the end, it's tough. Now, I think I'm going to meet the 1237, but still it's unfair because I had all of these people, senators, governors, some very good people like Ben Carson, some people that, you know, a lot of people. Now, when you have to divide all of that vote up and then you're supposed to get 50 plus 1, 50% plus 1, it's really very unfair. Despite that, I think I'm going to do it. But I will say this. If I was a little bit short and I was way ahead and, you know, millions of votes ahead, many millions. Right now, I'm more than 2 million votes ahead of Cruz. And I'm, you know, hundreds of delegates ahead. But if I was a little bit short of that number and with all of these people that I had to beat, I think it would be very, very unfair, I'll be honest with you. And I think a lot of the people that support me feel that, too. We'll